The wind carried the smell of iron that night. Faint metallic, like old rust and rain-soaked nails. Officer Luke Harlan stopped by the ditch, flashlight trembling in his hand. Beside him, his K-9 Rex growled low, hackles rising at something beyond the mist. A crimson trail snaked through the mud, glistening under pale moonlight, leading toward the silhouette of a barn that hadn't seen light in years. Luke swallowed hard. He'd been here before, this road, this field, the night his wife vanished. Now the trail was back, and it was leading him straight home. The call came in at 2:17 a.m. Possible assault. Rural Road 19. Caller disconnected before we could trace. Luke Harlan pulled his cruiser off the gravel shoulder, engine idling in the fog. The headlights painted the trees silver and still. His radio crackled once, then died into static. Out here, signal was as thin as the air. He rubbed a hand over his jaw, feeling the stubble. "You ready, boy?" Rex shifted in the passenger seat, claws scraping against the vinyl. The shepherd's eyes gleamed yellow in the dark, alert and waiting. Luke gave a faint nod, opened the door, and the cold bit into his lungs. The smell hit him first. Blood. Heavy, sharp, unmistakable. He raised a flashlight. The beam fell across the dirt road where thick drops had splattered in an uneven trail. Someone had bled, and bled badly. Rex whined, nose to the ground, tracing the scent through the fog. Luke followed, hand resting near his holster. Each step sank into damp soil. The woods around him whispered. Branches creaked. The far-off call of a coyote echoed through the valley. Then he saw it. A truck, abandoned, engine still running. Driver's door wide open. Headlights pointed toward a cornfield. Luke approached carefully. Gun drawn. Sheriff's department. Anyone there? No answer. Only the steady hum of the motor and the hiss of a radiator cooling in the chill. Inside the truck, the driver's seat was soaked. Not with rain. With blood. A wallet lay on the passenger side. Tanner Vance. Luke froze. The name struck him like a blade. Mara Vance's brother. He stepped back, heartbeat hammering in his ears. Mara. The woman who had cried beside him when his wife disappeared. The woman who'd never been quite right since. Rex barked once, sharply, drawing his attention. The dog stood near the edge of the field, tail stiff, nose pointed toward the horizon where the fog thickened around a distant barn, the old Whitaker barn. Luke hadn't been near it since that night 2 years ago. He holstered his weapon, swallowed the memory, and clicked the flashlight beam ahead. Track, Rex. The shepherd moved like smoke through the fog. Luke followed, careful not to disturb the bloody footprints that appeared and vanished in the mud. Halfway across the field, the flashlight flickered. Once, twice, then died. "Damn it!" Luke muttered, smacking the side of it. Nothing. The darkness pressed in. He switched to his shoulder light, a weaker glow, pale and yellow. It caught flashes of movement. A torn shirt snag on a fence post, a trail dragging toward the barn doors. Rex's growl deepened. Luke crouched, touching the ground. Blood, still wet. The trail was recent, an hour old, maybe less. He raised his eyes. The barn loomed before him now, a monolith of rotting wood and shadows. The door was slightly ajar, swaying in the wind. Inside, something creaked. He drew his gun again. Rex, heel. They advanced slowly. The hinges moaned as Luke pushed the door open just enough to slide through. The smell hit him like a wave. Not just blood now, but decay. Animal and human, tangled together. The flashlight beam swept across the interior. Broken tools, hay bales, an overturned stool. Flies buzzed near the rafters. Then the beam froze on something red. A smear of blood across the wooden floor, leading deeper inside. Rex started to move forward, nose to the ground, but Luke stopped him with a hand gesture. "Easy, boy." They followed the trail until it ended at a large tarp in the center of the barn. Beneath it, the shape of someone. Luke hesitated, his breath fog in the cold air. He crouched, hooked a finger beneath the tarp, and lifted an inch. A hand, pale, stiff, fingers caked with mud. He yanked the tarp back fully. Tanner Vance. His throat was slashed open, his eyes still wide. Luke staggered back, bile rising in his throat. Rex barked sharply once, not at the body, but toward the loft above. Something shifted up there. Footsteps, soft and deliberate. Luke raised his weapon. Sheriff's Department. Come down slowly. Silence. Then the faint creak of a floorboard. He moved toward the ladder, careful and slow. Rex stayed close, teeth bared. Last warning. The silence stretched too long. Then from the darkness above, a voice, calm, trembling, female. Luke. His blood froze. He knew that voice. He lowered the gun, stunned. Anna? Rex barked again, pacing nervously. A shape emerged at the top of the loft. A woman, gaunt and pale, wearing a torn flannel shirt and covered in dirt. Her hair hung in damp strands. Her face was unmistakable. His wife. Luke's knees weakened. No, that's not. Don't move, she said, voice trembling. He followed me. Tanner. He was going to... She cut herself off, eyes darting to the body beneath the tarp. I didn't mean to... Luke took a step forward, voice breaking. Anna, I buried you. We found your car in the river. She shook her head violently. You found what they wanted you to find. They... Before she could answer, headlights flashed through the cracks in the barn wall. Another vehicle pulling up outside. Anna's eyes widened. You shouldn't have come here. Luke turned toward the door, gun raised. A shadow crossed the threshold. Tall, steady, wearing a deputy's badge. Sheriff Dalton Briggs. He lowered his flashlight slightly, scanning the scene. Luke, the tarp, the body, and the woman above. Well, Dalton said, his voice low, unreadable. Guess the past finally caught up. Luke's mind reeled. You knew? Dalton's hand drifted to his holster. I tried to keep you out of this, Harlan. You wouldn't have let it go. Anna stepped down from the loft ladder, trembling. He made me disappear, Luke. Said it was the only way to protect us. Dalton cut her off sharply. That's enough. The barn filled with tension, so thick it hummed. Rex growled low, teeth bared. Luke's hand tightened on his weapon. Protect us from what? Dalton sighed, stepping closer, eyes weary. From Tanner. From what he was doing out here. You think this is just blood and betrayal. Luke, you don't know half of it. Anna's voice cracked. He was selling them. People, Luke. He was taking. A gunshot split the air. Anna screamed. Dalton's pistol smoked in his hand. The bullet hit Tanner's corpse, a warning shot, echoing through the rafters. Dalton's voice stayed cold. You were never supposed to see this place again. Rex lunged before Luke could think, a blur of teeth and fury. Dalton fired again. The shot missed, ricocheting off a beam. Rex hit his arm, dragging him down, snarling. Luke dove forward, kicking the gun aside, wrestling Dalton to the floor. The two men grappled, boots scraping across the blood-soaked boards. Dalton's hand found a knife from his belt, swung once, slicing Luke's arm open. Pain flashed white. Luke slammed his elbow into Dalton's jaw, sending him sprawling. Rex barked, circling. Dalton staggered to his feet, blood dripping from his mouth. You don't understand, Luke. You never did. Luke raised his gun. Try me. Outside, another sound, engines approaching. More lights cutting through the fog. Dalton smiled faintly. Looks like the rest of them are here. Luke froze. The rest of who? Dalton didn't answer. He only said, Don't trust her, before vanishing to the back door into the cornfield. Anna stood trembling, tears streaking through the grime on her face. Luke turned toward her, gun still raised, breath ragged. Tell me what the hell is going on, Anna. She looked at him with hollow eyes. You followed the blood. Luke, now you have to decide whether you keep following it or finally stop. The barn door rattled again. Voices outside. Flashlights slicing through the mist. Rex growled, ready. Luke tightened his grip. We're not done. Anna whispered, No, we're not. Then the door burst open, and everything changed. The first beam of light sliced through the darkness like a blade. Sheriff's Department. Drop your weapon. Luke spun toward the doorway. gun half raised before his mind caught up with his instincts. The figures outside weren't wearing standard uniforms. Their badges were wrong, darker, almost handmade. Four of them moved in formation, flashlights sweeping the barn like searchlights. Rex barked sharply, stepping between Luke and the door, teeth bared. Anna flinched, shrinking back into the shadows near the loft ladder. Luke Harlan. One of the men called out, voice deep, deliberate. Put the gun down. We're not here for you. Luke's finger hovered near the trigger. Then who the hell are you here for? The woman, the man said, stepping forward, light falling across his face, lean late 40s, wearing a faded tactical jacket with no name patch. Anna Briggs. Luke's heart skipped. Briggs. Anna's voice trembled behind him. It's true. I never told you. Dalton's my brother. The men spread out, boots creaking against the old wood. Luke steadied himself, gun aimed at the leader's chest. You're going to tell me what this is. Now! The man's expression stayed calm, unnervingly so. We're with the county task force. This barn's part of an active investigation. You just stepped into something that's been buried a long time. Officer. Luke took a slow step backward, keeping his body between them and Anna. Then why is the sheriff running? The man didn't answer. He only nodded to his team. Secure the scene. Rex barked again, low and dangerous. Luke didn't move. Nobody's securing anything until I know why Tanner Vance is lying dead on this floor. The man's gaze flicked briefly toward the tarp, then back at Luke. He wasn't supposed to die here. He was supposed to disappear, like the others. The words hung in the air, heavy and cold. Luke's stomach turned. What others? Before the man could respond, a faint buzzing filled the barn. A drone, hovering just outside the window slats, red light blinking. The men exchanged glances. The leader swore under his breath. They found us. Gunfire shattered the air. Bullets ripped to the side of the barn, splintering wood, sending hay and dust exploding into the air. Rex lunged to the ground as Luke pulled Anna behind a support beam. The men fired back through the walls, shouting orders Luke couldn't make sense of. Through the chaos, one thing was clear. Someone didn't want anyone walking out of that barn alive. Luke pressed close to Anna, his voice a harsh whisper. Who's they? She shook her head, trembling. Dalton was working with them. Local landowners, businessmen, using the farms for trafficking routes. Tanner started skimming money. They turned on him. Dalton tried to clean up before it reached you. Luke's jaw clenched. And you? I was supposed to be leverage. The drone outside fired again, this time not bullets, but a flare. The roof caught instantly, flames licking across the rafters. Move! Luke shouted. He kicked open the side door, Rex charging ahead through the smoke. They stumbled into the field, ducking low, fire painting the sky behind them in violent orange. Shots cracked from somewhere near the tree-line. Luke fired back once, forcing silence. The fog swallowed the echoes. Anna gasped beside him, clutching her ribs. They won't stop, Luke. He turned, eyes burning from the smoke. Then neither will I. They ran. The cornfield stretched endlessly ahead, rose rustling in the wind like whispering voices. Luke's boots hit the mud hard. His arm throbbed where Dalton's knife had cut him. Rex darted beside them, silent now, ears twitching to every distant sound. Somewhere behind them, the barn's roof gave way with a thunderous collapse. Luke didn't look back. They reached the old service road just as the sky began to lighten, pale gray streaks brushing the horizon. Luke stopped beside an abandoned grain silo, chest heaving. Anna leaned against the wall, blood staining her sleeve. They'll track us. Let them try. Luke reloaded, checked his radio, static again. He tried the sheriff's frequency. Nothing. Rex's ears pricked suddenly, head turning toward the forest beyond the silo. A sound, faint rhythmic. An engine, slow and deliberate. A black SUV emerged to the fog, headlights off, moving like a predator. Luke raised his weapon, motioned Anna to stay low. The SUV stopped 20 yards away. The door opened. Sheriff Dalton Briggs stepped out, his left arm bloody from Rex's bite, his face pale but steady. He raised one hand. Empty. Luke, listen to me. Luke's voice was hoarse. You shot at me, Dalton. I had to make it look real. They were watching. Who's they? Dalton glanced toward the tree lean, scanning for movement. You ever wonder why Grayfield Hollow never changed, Luke? Why the same families own every acre, every cop, every judge? There's a reason for that. You're saying the town's bought? I'm saying it's built on blood. Anna stepped forward, anger breaking through the fear. You let them fake my death. You let him. She pointed toward the burned horizon, where the barn still smoldered. Bury me alive. Dalton's jaw tightened. You don't know what I was protecting you from. Luke's voice sharpened. Try me. Dalton hesitated, then took a step closer. 5 years ago, we busted a trafficking ring running through the freight lines. Everyone thought it was shut down. It wasn't. It just moved to the farms. Tanner was part of it. So was the mayor and half the damn county. They use abandoned barns as storage, fields as drop zones. When you started asking questions about Anna, they wanted you silenced. I made a deal. Fake or death keep you alive. Luke stared at him, rage and disbelief twisting together. You could have told me. You would have gone after them, Dalton said quietly. And they'd have killed you too. Rex growled again, eyes fixed on the woods. Luke followed his gaze. Between the trees, shadows shifted, more men, more lights. Dalton cursed. They're here. Then we move, Luke said. He grabbed Anna's arm and started toward the ridge, the three of them vanishing into the fog. They made it to an old farmhouse half a mile out, abandoned, windows shattered, wallpaper curling like dead skin. Luke barricaded the door with a broken dresser, breathing hard. Dalton collapsed onto a chair, clutching his bitten arm. We won't make it far before they find us. Anna sat silently by the window, staring into the gray dawn. They took people from here. Luke, kids, women. The barns weren't for storage. Luke knelt beside Rex, checking his ears for glass fragments. You're sure Tanner was part of it? Anna nodded slowly. He handled the handoffs. Dalton found out too late. Dalton's had dropped, guilt heavy in his voice. I tried to burn the files, but they had backups. Names, routes, dates, all stored in the silo. Luke's pulse quickened. The silo we just passed? Dalton looked up. If it's still intact, it's the key. Everything they've done, who's paid, who's missing, it's all there. Luke stood, decision already made. Then that's where we're going. Anna caught his sleeve. Luke, if you go back there, then maybe it ends tonight. He turned to Rex. Track, boy. The shepherd barked once, low and certain. Dalton pushed himself up, grimacing. You'll need me to open it. Luke hesitated, meeting the older man's eyes. You betrayed me once. Dalton's expression was tired, hollow. Then let me fix it. By the time they reached the silo again, daylight had broken, gray and cold. The smoke from the barn still hung low, curling through the valley. The silo door was padlocked, heavy, industrial. Dalton knelt, working the code from memory. 2 turns right, 1 left, he muttered, then paused, frowning. They changed it. Before Luke could respond, Rex stiffened, low growl rumbling in his chest. From behind the silo, a figure emerged, tattered jacket, hands stained red. Tanner Vance. Alive. Luke froze, staring. That's impossible. Tanner smiled weakly, half his face burned, one eye swollen shut. You didn't look close enough under that tarp, Luke. They needed a body to distract you, a decoy. Anna stepped back, pale as ash. What did you do? Tanner's voice rasped, dry and broken. I was supposed to clean it up, burn the evidence. But when I found what they were really moving, his gaze flicked toward Anna. I couldn't. Dalton stood slowly, rage simmering. You ruined everything. Tanner laughed, coughing blood. No, brother. I exposed everything. Dalton froze. Luke's eyes narrowed. Brother? Anna's voice trembled. He's our half-brother, Luke. Different fathers. Same mother. None of them ever told you. The world tilted for a second. The smoke, the blood, The years of lies, they all twisted into something unrecognizable. Dalton raised his weapon. You should have stayed dead, Tanner. Luke lunged to stop him, but the gun fired. Tanner fell, blood spreading across the dirt like ink. Anna screamed, dropping to her knees beside him. Dalton's face was carved with fury and sorrow. He was going to destroy everything, everyone in this town. You think this ends with me? You have no idea how deep it goes. Luke aimed his weapon squarely at the sheriff. Then start talking, because you're not walking away this time. Dalton opened his mouth to speak, and was cut off by a roar from behind the silo. Engines. Dozens. Black SUVs rolling out of the fog like a procession of ghosts. Luke took a step back, heart pounding. Rex barked once, sharp, urgent. Anna looked at Luke, tears streaking down her face. It's too late. Dalton's voice was a whisper. No, it's just starting. The first SUV door opened, and the man who stepped out wasn't law enforcement. He was something else entirely. Clean suit, cold eyes, and a faint, knowing smile. Morning, Officer Harlan, he said softly. We've been expecting you. The fog closed in, swallowing the sound of the engines and the echo of blood dripping onto the dirt. Rex growled, low and ready. Luke tightened his grip, and the world went still before the storm. The man in the suit stepped closer, his polished shoes barely sinking into the wet dirt. The others, 6, maybe 7 men, fanned out behind him, all wearing the same black tactical coats without insignia. Their movements were silent, synchronized, professionals. Luke kept his gun trained on the lead man's chest, fingers steady but tense. Rex stood stiff beside him, lips curled in a low, steady growl. The man smiled faintly, as though greeting an old friend. I admire persistence, Officer Harlan. You've been walking in circles around this truth for 2 years. And yet here you are, still chasing ghosts. Luke's voice came out rough. You killed Tanner? A soft chuckle. Killed? No, we gave him purpose. People like him always believe they can buy their way out when things go wrong. But the cost of loyalty, Mr. Harlan, is higher than money. Dalton took a step forward, blood seeping through the sleeve of his uniform. You shouldn't be here. The man turned his head slightly, as if amused. Ah, Sheriff Briggs, always the pragmatic one. You made our work so much easier. Anna's breath hitched. You're the one who took me. The man's smile didn't fade. Took? No, Miss Briggs. We offered you survival. You accepted. Regret is a funny thing. It always feels like blame when the dust settles. Luke felt his stomach twist. He looked at Dalton. You knew about this. Dalton's jaw clenched. I made a deal to protect her, Luke, to protect you, by helping them traffic people. I didn't know it would go that far. Dalton's voice cracked with shame. At first it was just moving undocumented workers through the farms. Then it changed. They changed. The man in the suit tilted his head. He's right, officer. Things evolved. The world rewards those who adapt. Luke's finger tightened on the trigger. You think that justifies what you've done? The man's eyes hardened, dark, cold, reptilian. Justification is for the guilty. We're beyond that now. He raised a hand slightly. One of his men stepped forward, rifle leveled at Luke's chest. Put the weapon down, the man said calmly, or the dog dies first. Rex growled louder, muscles tense, ready to strike. Luke didn't blink. If you touch him, I swear to God. Enough. Dalton's voice cut through the tension like a blade. He stepped between them, facing the man in the suit. You want the files, right? You get them, but you let them go. The man regarded him for a long moment, then smiled faintly, still pretending you have leverage. Dalton's hand slipped to his pocket. He pulled out a small USB drive, worn, cracked, streaked with dried blood. This is all of it. The names, the payments, the routes. You can burn it, bury it, whatever you want, but you let them walk. Luke's eyes widened. Dalton, no. Dalton met his gaze. You said once we were all just trying to survive. You were right. Then, before Luke could stop him, Dalton hurled the drive into the air. Time slowed. The man's eyes flicked up. His guard hesitated. Dalton fired. The bullet hit the man in the suit square in the chest. For a moment, silence. Then chaos. Gunfire erupted, deafening, relentless. Bullets shredded the air, the dirt exploding and burst around them. Luke dug behind the silo, pulling Anna with him. Rex darted out, lunging at the nearest gunman, dragging him to the ground with a snarl that turned into a scream. Dalton fired again, taking down another before a round caught him in the shoulder, spinning him sideways. "Go!" he shouted, voice breaking. "Get to the truck." Luke returned fire, hitting one of the SUV's windshields. "Not without you." Dalton staggered to his knees, clutching his wound. "You can't save everyone, Luke." Rex barked, circling back as gunfire raked the dirt beside them. Anna crawled forward, grabbing Luke's arm. "He's right. Please." A grenade clattered near the silo, rolling to a stop. Luke's heart seized. "Down!" he yelled, pulling Anna to the ground. The explosion tore through the air, blinding light, and heat slamming into his chest. The world turned into static, ringing smoke, flashes of movement. When his vision cleared, half the silo was gone. Dalton lay motionless near the wreckage. The men in suits were regrouping, shouting orders. Rex limped toward Luke, muzzle bloodied, one ear torn. But he was still moving, still ready. Luke grabbed Anna's hand, dragging her toward the slope beyond the field. The mist thickened again, their only cover. Behind them, the man in the suit stood, wiping blood from his chin where the bullet had grazed him. His calm was gone now. His voice was ice. Find them. Burn everything. They ran until their lungs burned. The fog swallowed sound, the world shrinking to their ragged breathing and the crunch of dead leaves. When they reached the ridge, Luke collapsed behind a fallen tree, pressing a hand to his bleeding arm. Anna sat beside him, trembling. "He's not going to stop." Luke nodded slowly. "Then we make sure he can't." He pulled his phone from his vest, cracked, but the battery still flickered on. "There's a broadcast repeater 5 miles north. If we get there, we can push Dalton's files to the network before they erase it all." Anna stared at him. "You don't even know if it's still online." He smiled faintly, tired but certain. "Then we find out." Rex nudged his leg gently, eyes full of pain but determination. Luke stroked his fur. "You still with me, partner?" Rex wagged his tail once, slow and steady. They reached the ridge tower just before dawn, a rusted metal skeleton rising from fog. The door at the base was padlocked, but Luke shot open and pushed through. Inside, old monitors hummed faintly. He set the phone beside the console, connecting Dalton's spare drive. Lines of data flicker across the cracked screens. Names, shipment logs, satellite images. Anna covered her mouth. "Dear God!" Luke began typing, bypassing the security. The air outside filled with the hum of engines again. "They found us," she whispered. "Almost done," he said, jaw tight. The signal bars flickered. 1, then 2. Rex barked, pacing by the door. 30 seconds, Luke muttered. Come on. A single bullet shattered the window. He ducked. Anna screamed. The man in the suit appeared at the entrance, calm again, despite the blood. "You just don't know when to stop." Luke aimed, but the man was faster. His shot hit Luke's shoulder, spinning him. Rex lunged. The shepherd hit the man's arm, clamping down with ferocity that was pure fury, pure love. The man shouted, slamming Rex against the wall, trying to shake him off. Anna grabbed the dropped pistol, hands trembling. The man tore free, blood pouring from his arm. He raised his gun toward Rex. Anna fired first. The shot echoed like thunder through the metal tower. The man fell, eyes wide, disbelief frozen on his face. Silence. Rex whimpered, crawling toward Luke. His fur was matted with blood. Luke fell to his knees, catching him, cradling his head. No, stay with me, Luke whispered, tears streaking through soot. Rex's eyes met his, still bright, still loyal. His tail thumped once, weakly, then went still. Luke's breath broke. You did good. Boy, you did so damn good. Anna knelt beside them, shaking. The signal on the monitor blinked. Transmission complete. Luke looked up, tears burning his eyes. It's out. She nodded. It's out. By the time backup arrived, real law enforcement this time, not Dalton's, the valley was quiet. The SUVs were gone, the fog thinning into morning light. Dalton's body was found near the silo, his badge still pinned to his chest. The files went public within the hour, names, faces, operations. The entire county was thrown into chaos. Luke sat on the tailgate of an ambulance, arm bandaged, eyes empty. Anna sat beside him, silent. Reporters were already gathering near the field, but the world around Luke felt distant, muffled. A medic asked if he needed something for pain. He didn't answer. He looked instead toward the stretch of dirt road beyond the fence, where Rex had been buried beneath a small wooden cross. The wind moved through the grass, whispering softly. Anna spoke first. He saved us. Luke nodded. He always did. She hesitated, then reached out, her hand finding his. For the first time in 2 years, he didn't pull away. The sky brightened slowly over Grayfield Hollow, the mist rising like ghosts letting go. Luke stood, looking one last time at the barn's blackened remains in the distance. So much blood, he whispered. All of it for nothing. Anna's voice was quiet. Not for nothing. You stopped it. He turned to her, eyes tired but resolute. No, we did. As the first sunlight broke through the clouds, Luke placed his badge on the ground beside Rex's cross. I'm done chasing ghosts, he murmured. Then he walked away from the smoke, from the lies, from the hollow that haunted him for years. A man rebuilt by loss, by truth, by the loyalty of a dog who never gave up. And for the first time in a long time, the silence didn't hurt.